Today we go to the competency level 7.3. See that inquiries into the rotational effect due to the interrelationship of electricity and magnetism. In previous lesson, that competency level 7.1 and 7.2, we have done the force on conductor in magnetic field and magnitude of the magnetic flux density and related question we have finished. Okay, here we go to the rotational effect due to the interrelationship of electricity. So what is a rotational effect? You have done in earlier mechanics study. What is rotational effect? So here we are going to see that. Here, see it, torque acting on a rectangular coil placed in a uniform magnetic field. Torque acting on a rectangular coil placed in a uniform magnetic field. So first you know about what is torque. What is torque? In mechanics, we said when two unlike parallel forces acting in a different line of points, they create a torque. Two equal unlike parallel forces. Two equal unlike parallel forces acting in a different line of action, they are making the torque. So here, look at this. Now a rectangular coil of one turn whose plane makes an angle alpha with a uniform magnetic field B. It carries a current I. So I denote all the notation here. This one is a current. Here, see the current. And there's a current in the PQ downward direction and RS in the upward direction. See here, this is the current coming downward direction. Here also going upward direction in the coil. So length of the coil is A. Length of the coil is A. So this is the length. Here you see that this is the length. This is the length. This is A. Here is the width. The force F on vertical limb PQ of the coil is F is equal to BI. Earlier in mechanics, you see that when the conductor is placed in a magnetic field. Here I write about the field and conductor. Earlier we have seen that. There's a field line here. There's a field line here. There's a field line here. There's a field line. When we place the conductor in the field line, if the conductor carry a current I, we write earlier that force on this conductor F is equal to BIL sin alpha. Okay. So here, now consider this PQ. Consider the PQ. PQ is the part of the limb of this coil, the current carrying downward direction. Magnetic field is perpendicular to this limb. Magnetic field is perpendicular to the limb. See it? The magnetic field is perpendicular to the limb. Therefore, that angle alpha is 90. That angle alpha is 90. Therefore, this sine 90 is equal to 1. Therefore, we can write BIL. L is equal to A. Therefore, we write BIA. Here, this is the final result. We get BIA. Okay. So, this is a force acting on the limb PQ, that is BIA. You see that force here, this is a force. This is a force. This is a magnetic field. The magnetic fields are in yellow line. So here we get the force on the limb P. Now we go to the force F1 is vertical limb SR of the coil is also BIA. Okay. Now the force on the vertical limb, which one is SR? Here see that this one is a vertical limb SR. Okay. This is equal to BIA. Also this is because BIA, because this magnetic field is also here perpendicular to the limb. And only the direction of force is against the earlier one. See that the force direction, I saw it in all the forces in the picture. The force is now against the earlier one, because we are now, how do we find this force? We are using the Fleming left-hand rule and find this force. So here the current coming downward direction. Current is coming in the downward direction, P to Q. So therefore, if we take a left hand and find the direction, which thumbs denote this force direction, it's better you take the left hand and put the first finger in the direction of the magnetic field and second finger in the direction of the current, and thumb denote the direction of the force. Okay. Therefore, force is coming in this direction. Force is coming in this direction. Okay. Force is coming in this direction. Again, we use this magnetic force left-hand rule to this limb SR. We find the force on this other direction, because current is in the opposite direction. Therefore, force must opposite direction to the earlier one. So these two forces are parallel. These two forces are parallel. Therefore, these two forces make the torque. Therefore, these two forces make the torque. Okay. So first see this picture again. Now we are going to find the equation for the torque. Torque is equal to F into B cos alpha. So in mechanics, when you get the definition for torque, torque is equal to one force into perpendicular distance between the parallel forces. So here, see it, the force is F and perpendicular distance is B cos alpha. See the picture? This one is a perpendicular distance. This one is a perpendicular distance. So this distance is this one B, this one is alpha, this one is alpha. Therefore, this one is B cos alpha. That's why we write F is into B cos alpha. Magnitude and the distance, perpendicular distance between these two forces, parallel forces. Therefore, F into B cos alpha. Again, we substitute F is equal to BI. Substitute F is equal to BIA and B cos alpha. Then we get BIA cos alpha. What is A? A is the area of the coil. A is the area of the coil. Area of the coil. Area of the coil. Okay. So now we get the final result. Torque on the rectangular coil, that is equal to BIA cos alpha. B is the magnetic flux density, I is the current, A is the area of the coil, and alpha, that alpha making an angle, that magnetic field making an angle with a conductor or coil plane. Okay, alpha is the angle, that plane, coil plane making an angle with magnetic field, alpha. Okay, now here, if theta is the angle between the field and the normal to the plane of the coil, so first see what is theta. So here in the dotted line, I mentioned the line normal to this line. Okay, see that? See this normal, this is a plane, this one is a normal. This one is a normal to the plane, dotted line. This dotted line represent the normal to the plane. And here is the theta. So this one is a theta. So this one is a theta. So theta plus alpha is equal to 90. Theta plus alpha is equal to 90. Theta plus alpha is equal to 90. Let us see that this is a normal, and this normal, if theta is the angle between field and the normal, therefore this one is a field, so this angle is a theta. Theta is the angle between normal and the field, therefore this is angle theta. Earlier I told you this one is alpha. This one is alpha. Therefore, we write theta plus alpha is equal to 90. Therefore, alpha is equal to 90 minus theta. Alpha is equal to 90 minus theta. So, we place this alpha, substitute alpha in cos alpha. We get cos 90 minus theta, that is equal to sin theta. Therefore, we write the tau on the final result, BIA sin theta. Again, B is a magnitude of the magnetic flux density, and I is the current. A is the area of the coil, and theta is the plane, normal to the plane, making an angle with the magnetic field. Okay, clear about this? Right. We have done this only for the one coil. We have done this only for the one coil. If the coil has n turns, so multiple by n. If the coil has n turns, we can multiply this by n. Therefore, we get the result tau is equal to NBIA sin theta. So, this is the final result, tau in the coil, rectangular coil. So, now we go to other one. So, again we want to see the another force on PS. The force F dash on its horizontal limb PS of the coil is, so better see the limb PS. Better see the limb PS. Better see the limb PS. This one is a limb PS. Let's see that. This one is a limb PS, and so there's a force acting on it, that is F dash. So this is alpha, no? So alpha is easily, now we find this one is alpha. Therefore, we easily write BI. Normally, the force F is equal to, earlier we studied this one, F is equal to BIL sin alpha. Therefore, here directly we can apply this. Only L is equal to B. So here we write that force F dash is equal to BIL sine beta. Okay, here you see that force F dash is equal to BIL sine beta. This one. Okay, F dash is equal to BIL sine alpha. The force F dash on horizontal limb QR of the coil is this one horizontal limb. Again, we can write F dash is equal to BIB sine alpha because both limbs are equal length. Only current is opposing each other. Therefore, direction is opposite. Better see the picture clearly. Here this force is, here the force the upside. Okay. So these two forces are equal. These two forces are equal. Therefore, balance each other. So in the coil in magnetic field, there is no net forces. Resultant force is zero in this coil. Only torque is acting in the coil. So that torque is already we have find BIA sine theta. Okay. Now you see this, a rectangular coil of one turn whose plane parallel with a uniform magnetic field B. If it carries a current I. So here the coil is parallel to the field. Parallel to the field means alpha is equal to 0. Parallel to the field means earlier we get alpha. The field making an angle with alpha to the plane. Okay. This alpha is now 0. Now alpha is equal to 0. That's why this plane, coil plane, parallel to the magnetic field. Therefore, that coil plane normal. Better see that dot line in the picture. This is a normal. This is a normal. So this normal straight away making an angle 90. This angle is 90. So we write that theta, we take this as a theta in earlier previous one. Therefore this theta is equal to 90. Theta is equal to 90. Therefore we write tau is equal to NBIA sine 90. NBIA sine 90. Therefore we get BIA sine 90 is equal to 1. Therefore if the coil has entered, we can write tau is equal to NBA. This is our final result. So this is the most important for us. At this time, this moment, the coil is parallel with the magnetic field. This is most important for us. Right, now go. So here, if we want to take this proof from initial proof, that proof already, this proof, we reduce this proof from tau is equal to NBIA sine theta. We deduce this proof from this one. Now we go to from initial state. How do we prove that NABIA sine theta? So we are going to prove again this one also like that. So a rectangular coil of one turn whose plane parallel with a uniform magnetic field B if it carries a current I. Length is also always A and width is B. Here also now force F on the limb PQ is equal to BIA, because here also the magnetic field is perpendicular to the limb PQ. Therefore we can write the force is BIA. Again we come, the force F on its vertical limb SR of the coil is also BI, because already we said that the current is equal and same length. Therefore we can write F is equal to BIA. So these two forces making a torque. because these two forces are parallel. Now here, see how do we act like that? So its tau is now F into B. Earlier F into B cos alpha. Because now here see that this is a perpendicular distance between these two parallel forces. So B is a perpendicular distance between two parallel forces. Therefore, this we write F into B is a tau on the coil. Again, applying F is equal to BIA, then we get tau is equal to BIA. Tau is equal to BIA. Okay. So if the coil has N turn, again we get NBA. So this is the result we get from initial state. Earlier we deduced that NBIA from previous proof. Here from initially we get this proof from when the coil is parallel from the magnetic field. So now we are here. What is the force? Now the force on its horizontal limb PS and QR. So this, see that what is the force on limb PS? See it. See the limb. This one is a limb. This one, another one. So these forces are parallel. This magnetic field are parallel. This magnetic field are parallel. Therefore, alpha is equal to 0. Therefore, no force on this conductor. Force is equal to 0 here. Force is equal to 0. So, because these limbs are parallel to the field, so alpha is equal to 0, then this force is equal to 0. So, there is no forces acting on this limb PS and Q. Earlier, there is a force acting on these limbs F dash, but that forces are neutralize each other because they are opposing each other. Resultant force is 0 when the coil making an angle alpha. Okay. Now, current carrying rectangular coil placed in a radial magnetic field. So here we heard this new name, radial magnetic field. So what is radial magnetic field? Radial magnetic field, we are going to see what is radial magnetic field. The radial magnetic field, curved pole pieces create a radial magnetic field. So this one is a curved pole pieces. This one is a curved pole pieces. This curved pole pieces create the radial magnetic field. See the line of this magnetic field line. They are curved, radial. Here, see that? The line starts from the beginning of the north and end to the south. But line comes like this way. Okay. Normally, north pole and south pole lines come straight. This is a radial magnetic field. The lines are parallel. Okay. Tau acting on a current carrying rectangular coil placed in a radial magnetic. Now here we are going to place the rectangular coil in this radial magnetic field. What will happen? Let us see the picture clearly. The coil plane always parallel to the field. See here. The coil, see the coil here and field line. So field lines are always parallel to the coil. Therefore, already we got the result that tau is equal to NBIA. So when the rectangular coil placed on a radial magnetic field, the tau acting on it, that tau is equal to NBIA because that coil is always parallel to the magnetic field. Better see that when the coil turns, see it, when the coil turns like this, always the magnetic field is like this. Therefore, at that moment also, coil is parallel to the magnetic field. If the coil turns anywhere else, at that moment, coil always parallel to the magnetic. Therefore, torque on the magnetic coil is NBIA. Okay, this is the result we get. Now, structure of the moving coil galvanometer. First, this moving coil galvanometer is an electrical device. You have to know that. That device, we use that device to measure the current or voltage. So this electrical device works under principle of torque. That's why we study this torque. So here, see the picture of this moving coil galvanometer. See the picture of this moving coil galvanometer. There I indicate the most important parts here. See the parts. This is a soft iron core. See that this one is a soft iron cylinder. Always we place the soft iron cylinder in between these fields because we want to strengthen the field. These are the two magnets, radial magnet. These are the two radial magnet, North Pole and South Pole. This one is a coil. See that this one is a coil. So the coil has N turns. This one is a pointer. This one is a pointer. And here is the Vosper-Brown's control spring. Let us see it in the diagram. This is a Vosper-Brown's control spring. Vosper-Brown's control spring. And this one is a dual bearings. A coil of fine insulated copper wire wound on a strong rectangular rigid but light aluminium frame. So here that aluminium frame consists these coils, copper coils. We wound on an aluminium frame. That aluminium frame is very light one, but that is rigid. Cylindrical core of soft iron carries this aluminium frame. Okay, already I have shown. Now here we go. The coil is suspended by a Vosper-Brown spring which is kept taut. Finally, this Vosper-Brown spring attached on the dual bearings. So already I shown you, but dual bearings. So these two the more robust forms of the instrument have a dual bearings and hairspring instead of fine wire suspension. And normally, earlier, that is not in our subject, that normally coil in mirror galvanometer, only that wire suspension, that is Vosper-Brown's wire suspension. Here there is, I will show in the next slide, there is a spring also here. So, when this spring and the dual bearings making this instrument robust. Robust means that instrument is very strong because we are carrying this instrument to place. So if these two apparatus or instrument doesn't there in the galvanometer, that galvanometer may damage. Okay, so these two dual bearings and spring, hairspring, make this instrument more strong. Robust means more strong. Okay. This is the simplest form of the galvanometer diagram. Here you see that the current is led in and out through the hairspring. Okay, this one is a hairspring. This one is a hairspring. Already I shown you. This one is a hairspring. or the upper side also there is a hairspring. So these two spring current go in and out, go in and go out. Also controls the movement of the pointer. When the pointer turns, this spring, when the pointer turns, this spring control this movement. This spring control this movement. There is an aluminium pointer shows in the deflection of the coil. Okay, this aluminium connect to this coil now. Therefore, when the coil turn, this aluminium pointer also turn. So this aluminium pointer also turn. So this aluminium pointer shows the deflection of the coil. So we made this aluminium for this purpose because aluminium doesn't affect by magnetic field. That's why we use the aluminium here for this pointer. Okay. Now here I am showing you a real part of the galvanometer, real part, because I removed that cover and you are now seeing the pointer. This is above view of the galvanometer. That this one curved magnetic poles, and here there's a hairspring also. See that? The side view. See this? This is a real part of the moving coil. This one is a coil frame. This is a soft iron. This one is a hairspring, control the movement. This one is a stand, no? Okay, this one is a stand. Only these are the parts. These are the parts. Okay, these are the parts. So this part is inside the galvanometer. This is a real part. I remove it from this galvanometer and show it to you. Okay, here see this video. When the so here you see this hairspring and rectangular coil, and when the pointer move, see that when the pointer move, when the pointer move, the deflection of the coil you can observe it. When the pointer move, deflection of the coil you can observe. Okay. Expression for the deflection of the moving coil galvanometer. Here we are going to get the expression for the deflection of the moving coil galvanometer. Coil plane always lie in a magnetic field. Already we have seen that. Therefore, torque on the coil is equal to NBIA. So the coil is in the magnetic field is always parallel to the magnetic field. Therefore, torque on this coil is equal to NBIA. So it twists the suspension. So this coil twists the suspension to exert an oppositely directed torque of magnitude tau dash. So this coil twisted the suspension. So that suspension opposes this twist. So that suspension make an opposing torque. That is a tau dash. Normally this opposing torque make by these springs here in this our galvanometer. Making this torque, this opposing torque always created by hairspring. Suspension wire also give the torque, but this hairspring is more part to apply this opposing torque. So we say that torque is tau dash. So this theta proportional to this tau dash. The angle theta through which the suspension has been twisted. So this theta is the angle when how much this coil turn. So that angle is proportional to this opposing to tau dash. So we can write tau dash is equal to c theta. Tau dash is equal to c theta. C is the torsion constant of the torsional string or hairspring. Normally for this mirror galvanometer, that is not in our syllabus, directly this torsional constant is depend on the suspension wire. Here moving coil galvanometer, now we are using that torsion C depend on the spring constant. Also depend on the suspension wire also, but mostly that depend on the spring. Okay. So the coil turns until the restoring torque is of the same magnitude as that due to the magnetic field, and therefore at equilibrium. So therefore at equilibrium tau is equal to tau dash. So better know this. Here the coil turn. So this suspension spring making an opposing toe on this coil. So at once this coil come to rest. Okay. When the coil come to rest, we say that is a equilibrium position. So these two toes are equal at equilibrium position. So again we write here, see that tau is equal to tau dash. This one is a NBIA. Okay, the tau created on coil, created on rectangular coil. C theta is a tau acting on a spring or suspension wire. So equilibrium position, these two tau are equal. Then we can write I is equal to C over BAN into theta. So I proportional to theta. This is an important result for this moving coil galvanometer. So I proportional to theta. That means the instruments can be calibrated with a linear scale. Here I show you the above view of the moving coil galvanometer. This one is a scale. So this one is a scale. This one is a scale. So this scale is maybe, if it is linear, we can directly read it on a milliampere or microampere. We can directly read the current because linear. Scale is linear. Okay. So now here we go to sensitivity of the moving coil galvanometer. First you think about what is sensitivity. What is sensitivity? In previous chapter, say in thermal physics, you heard about this word, sensitivity. Sensitivity of the thermometer. What is sensitivity of the thermometer? When a small change in temperature, you can change in the big scale difference there in the thermometer. That is the sensitivity of the thermometer. Here you see that same, more deflection even for the small change in current. When the current is in small change, deflection is more. That is known as sensitivity of this galvanometer. There, small change in temperature, the temperature scale difference is high. You can easily observe the temperature different in the thermometer, in thermal physics. You have known that. So we can write I is equal to C over BAN into theta. So normally if I is small, theta is also small. I is small, theta is also small. So the deflection may be smaller. So if we want to increase the theta, then we can reduce this value C over BAN, small value. Reduce this value C over BA. So if we want to reduce C over BAN, increase the value of BAN and reduce the value of C. So we write here, put it K for this value. Here we put it K is equal to C over BAN. Then we write I is equal to K theta. So if I is small, theta is small. So if you reduce this value K, reduce this value, then we can get a large theta value for a small I. So if we want to reduce this K, we have to increase BAN and reduce C. Okay. Therefore, again we write that BA and K are the factors affecting current sensitivity. Okay. So increase BAN to large value and K to small value. A total, we take total value is K. Here change this to C. Okay, change this to C. Here because torsional constant is C, no? C to small value. So increase BA and N to large value, then B is, we have to increase B to upper value. So for that purpose, we can using the strong permanent magnet there. When we using the strong permanent magnet, we can avoid the influence of the outside magnetic field. If we use the permanent magnet, strong permanent magnet there, so we can avoid the influence of the outside magnetic field. Because normally we place the moving galvanometer in the earth field, no? So therefore, we have to some effect on this earth field in the magnetic field, moving coil galvanometer. So we have to, if we want to reduce that, we use the permanent magnet, strong permanent magnet. We can avoid this influence of this earth magnetic field. Okay. So we want to increase A. So if we want to increase A, so there must be an upper limit to A. We can't continuously increase A, because if we increase A, we can get more sensitivity to this galvanometer, no? So we can't continuously increase this A, because must be so large, so that the instrument is unwieldy. So if we increase the value of A, the instrument must be large one. So very difficult to carry that instrument. So we have to some upper limit to A. Okay. There must be an upper limit to N also. So we know that here, see that this N is also large value, no? N is also large value. But we can't increase N to more than certain beyond our limit. So there's some upper limit to N. When we increase, because it must not be so large, there's increase the resistance of the coil. If we increase the N of the coil, the instrument get more resistance. So that value, we can't get the accurate measurement. If the resistance is large, we can't get the accurate measurement in the instrument. Because we're using the small current microampere and everything, so we won't get the accurate measurement. So if the resistance is large, very difficult to get the accurate measurement. Okay. There must be a certain low limit to C. Here I mentioned that C. So there must be a certain low limit to C, because this would cause the coil to swing about its equilibrium position for the long time. So the suspension wire or the spring constant C, you can't increase beyond certain limit. Otherwise, this instrument when the swing this coil from one side to another side, and again when we use that, then the spring may break. That also happen. So equilibrium for a long time. That if this is very weak, this come to take a equilibrium for the long time, because that is very weak one of C. So we can't reduce the C beyond certain limit. Okay. Now we go to the questions here. A rectangular coil of length 0.1 meter and width 0.04 meter consists of 500 turns and is placed in a uniform magnetic field of flux density 0.01 Tesla. If the coil carries the current 10 to the power minus 2 ampere, the maximum possible torque on the coil is. So they are asking the maximum possible torque. So normally when the coil plays in the maximum magnetic field, we get torque is equal to NBIA sin theta. So easily sin theta get maximum. That means coil is parallel to the magnetic field. We can get the maximum torque. So maximum torque always you can easily write directly. Torque is equal to NBIA. This is the maximum torque on the coil. This is one of the past paper question. It's a simple question. So easily you write all the given values in this equation. So N is equal to 500. N is equal to 500 and B is equal to 0.01 Tesla and I is equal to 10 to the power minus 2 and A is equal to length is 0.1 meter and width is 0.04 meter. So 0.01 and to 0.04. It's a length and width. 0.04. So easily you can solve this and get the answer. Okay. This is a simplest question in the past paper. Directly they are asking the notation of the torque and what are the identify the notation and substitute the amount there. This is a simple question in the past paper. Okay, now we go to the second question. The two straight wires AB and CD carrying equal current I are placed symmetrically and at right angles to each other as shown in the figure. So this figure, see this figure, they give the right angle. AB is infinitely long and CD has finite length. AB is infinitely and CD has a finite length. The magnetic effect on CD due to AB gives rise to give some 4 answer. So better see the picture again. So what is the magnetic effect? Earlier AB is infinitely long wire. So this AB create a magnetic field around the conductor. So here the magnetic field in the D side go inside. Take a right hand and grip the wire AB. Then you can find there is a magnetic field go inside this place. Go inside. So we mark this like this. Go inside at this place. Take a right hand and grip the conductor AB. So magnetic field is go inside this blackboard. Normally in your paper, go inside to the paper. Again, take your left hand. So because this conductor CD is placed in the magnetic field due to this AB. Therefore, there is a force acting on this conductor CD. So take your left hand and find the direction of the force. So this force is, take your left hand and first finger point in the direction of the magnetic field, second finger in the direction of the current, then thumb in the direction of the force. Therefore, take your left hand and find the force is always upside here. So force is upside here at D side D. So now consider the side C. Now consider the side C. Here also magnetic field is acting due to this wire AB. So here this magnetic field is coming out from this place. Coming out from this place. Therefore, when you take a left hand and again you find the direction of the force here, that force is always downward direction. First finger denote the magnetic field. Take your hand and you have to find the force. Take your hand, left hand. And first finger is in the direction of the magnetic field and second finger in the direction of the current and thumb is direction of the force. So here the force is in the downward direction. So this force is the downward. So here these forces are parallel and equal, because equal, same distance, their magnetic field is equal, magnitude of the magnetic field is equal. Therefore, these two forces making an anti-clockwise torque here. Turn this CD like this way, conductor like this way. But resultant force is equal to 0. This one upside, this one downward. Therefore, resultant force is equal to 0. Okay. Then we see the answer. 0 resultant force and anti-clockwise torque. 0 resultant force and anti-clockwise torque acting on this conductor CD. Okay. This is also a pathway BMC. Now we go to another question. A rectangular coil of 50 turns hangs vertically in a uniform magnetic field of magnitude of 10 to the power minus 2 Tesla. The plane of the coil is parallel to the field. So normally then the plane parallel to the field, there will be a maximum torque acting on the coil. Okay, that's clearly we know that. The length and width of the coils are 5 centimeter, 2 centimeter respectively. If the torsional constant of the wire carrying the coil is 10 to the power minus 9 Newton meter degree, here the torsional constant, when we write the torsional constant about this unit, when we write the torsional constant, normally we write that torsion C is equal to C theta. So this is a torsional constant. So this unit is Newton meter, and this theta is always the angle. We can normally this angle in radian, here they put it in the degree. That's why here the unit is Newton meter degree. Then calculate the current to be sent through the coil to turn it to 30 degree. So again we apply the equation. Normally we write NBIA is a torque. NBIA is a torque. NBIA, the torque exerted on the coil that equal to C theta. Okay. C is the torsion constant of the spring and theta is the angle deflected, the coil. So applying this again substitute our given data here. Here that N is equal to 50 turns. There right is 50. And B is 10 to the power minus 2. And they want the value of I. And A is 5 centimeter and 2 centimeter length and width. Therefore, we have to change this to 5 into 10 to the power minus 2 into 2 into 10 to the power minus 2. That is equal to torsional constant here is 10 to the power minus 9. Newton meter per degree. Newton meter over degree here. That's why I write. Again, we write into theta. That's also 30 degree. We can easily carry out degree. Then cancel this one, degree. If it is in radian, we have to change this on radian. This degree on radian. Then you can find the value of I. Okay, this is also a substitute and get the value. Okay. Two galvanometers which are otherwise identical are fitted with a different coils. One has a coil of 50 turns and resistance 10 ohms, while the other has 500 turns and the resistance of 600 ohms. What is the ratio of the deflection when the each is connected to the turn to cell of EMF 2.5 volt and the internal resistance of 550 ohms? First we draw the diagram. These two galvanometers, they are identical, only their turns are different, connected to the battery. EMF means the electromotive force. So we draw this circuit. This is the galvanometer and connected to the battery. So this battery is voltage is 2.5 voltage and resistance, internal resistance is 50 ohm. Here also that 50 turns galvanometer, when we use the galvanometer first 50 turns, that resistance is 10 ohms. Okay. Here you see that when we use the 50 turn, the resistance is 10 ohm, and when we use the 600 turn, 500 turn, resistance is 600. So when we increase the turns, resistance increase. The galvanometer. So first you find the current. I is equal to voltage over resistance. Normally voltage over resistance. 50 plus 10. So this is the current through the galvanometer. Again you write the earlier equation, normal galvanometer equation. That one is NA IB is equal to C theta. So N is here, only change is N, because all others are identical to the two galvanometers. So only write is N is equal to 50 turns and A, and I is here 2.5 over Okay, we can write 60 into B is equal to C into theta. Okay. Again, write another. When we place a galvanometer, 500 turns here. So here now the ohm is 600 ohms. 600 ohm here. Therefore, we write again the N is equal to 500 into A is equal to same for the earlier one, and current is equal to 2.5 over now resistance, that is 50 plus 600, okay, into B. B is same because these two galvanometers are identical. Only exception is N, and that is also equal, and here turn is theta. If you divide these two, then you can get the ratio of the theta over theta, and you can find the value. Okay, here we see the today the comprehensive level 7.3. only one part is left is motor. Like now we completed this galvanometer and torque. Okay, and do the example. Okay.